Still watching Joy News on Multi TV. I am Daniel Dazi. Counting down to 11:30, where President Akufo-Addo will be having his presidential media encounter to mark his first year in office. So many issues at stake that he will be addressing. I don't know what your issues are. Like I said, on our Joy News Facebook page, we have asked you what questions you would like to be asked of the president, and Bernice Abu-Baidoo will be joining me soon to bring you to tell you what some other Ghanaians have been saying. But Elton John Brobe is still at the presidency, the banquet hall of Flagstaff House. He's currently speaking with Evans Mensah and Bernard Avle. We'll take you back to Flagstaff House shortly to get that conversation that Elton is having with Evans and Bernard Avle, of course. Very interesting issues that have been coming up over the past year. And you can imagine that there are journalists from all sectors. Earlier, you heard the advisor to the communications directorate of the presidency, Jefferson Saki, saying that for the first time, there are actually sports journalists and entertainment journalists being invited to a presidential press encounter. So you're sure to have that entire gamut of issues being discussed when it comes to governance. Some major issues have come up over the past year. I don't know if it's corruption you're interested in, the fight against illegal mining, free SHS, and the economy generally, the energy sector. So many issues that have been coming up over the past year. We'll be looking at all of them in just a few minutes. Bernice Abu-Baidoo is here in the studio with me. She'll be bringing us all the issues that are being discussed on social media. Good morning, Bernice.
Hi, Daniel. As you may be aware, we here at Joy News always want to hear what you have to say when it comes to issues like this. And that's why we have Joy News Interactive. So let's start with Facebook. We posted a question for you to answer. And that question will be popping up shortly. But before we bring you that, my colleague Latif Idris is speaking to the GJA president, Afil Money.
I'm where I am. I wouldn't say I've arrived yet, but I can't complain.
As the president of the Ghana Journalists Association?
I have not arrived yet. Beyond the sky, you
have other ambitions apart from leading the Journalists Association?
Politics out. But yes, I'm addicted to serve. So I will explore other avenues to serve my maker first. And that's a very vertical servanthood. I also look at the horizontal. So both the vertical and horizontal should go together so that my worship will be holistic.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. That was the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. I also have Mr. Kweku Sechi-Addo here with me. He's been practicing for a very long time.
Enjoy the morning.
And he's declined commenting with us. So we have the Minister of Information, Mustafa Hamid. We tried engaging him earlier. I mean, he wouldn't want to speak to us at that moment. We would want to try again and see if the minister would, readily speak to us. But now he's in a meeting with his deputy, Kojo Pong-Kroma, trying to, cross the T's and dot the I's even before the president walks in here to kickstart the whole program of meeting the press here. The senior minister just walked in here. Senior Minister of Safamafo just walked in here, and we want to find out.
Press conference.
Okay, so senior minister said he will speak only after the press conference or the president's meeting the media here at the Flagstaff House. So this is live transmission coming your way from the Flagstaff House, where any moment from now we will have the President of the Republic walk in here to meet the media to brief them on his one-year tenure in office. I have so Information Minister Mustafa Hamid is a bit, let me
So that was Lateef coming to us live from the Flagstaff House, trying to get some reactions from members of the government gathered there and some journalists as well. We'll be bringing your comments briefly here on Joy News Interactive. Just to let you know, the question we asked is, what would you want the president to answer to? So, well, we've got Mustafa Hamid, the information minister, speaking to Lateef. We can cross over to the Flagstaff House now.
Top media guys who have gathered here at the Flagstaff House today.
Well, what I expect, for the most part, they have come to listen to the president. Are you okay? Their work kicks off when the president has ended his speech. And then it is time for them to ask questions. So I expect that they would ask probing questions, in-depth questions, questions that are intelligent, questions that would bring out the best in our president and elicit the kinds of answers that the Ghanaian people are looking for. Answers to questions that touch on the lives of the Ghanaian people, the real hardcore bread and butter questions. Those are the kinds of questions that I expect. Was there any rehearsal session, before today's event? And how has the rehearsal session been, if there's been any? Well, for this president, he hardly needs any rehearsal in terms of speech delivery. You know, quite frankly. I'm talking about the questions. You must be expecting some questions. For questions, yes. We anticipate questions. There are topical issues. There are issues in our country about whether he's fighting corruption to the best of his ability, for example, whether the free SHS program, in his view, is satisfactory, it is working well. Issues of security, issues of the economy, joblessness, and all of those. You know them, Galamsey. There are issues that are in the air every day. So those are matters that, of course, you have to anticipate questions on, and therefore to prepare your mind to answer questions. But also, as for question and answer sessions, I must admit that you are never really properly prepared, because even if you anticipate a question on Galamsey, you cannot anticipate the angle from which the questioner is going to ask it. So we've prepared in our case, in our own view, to the best of our ability. We hope that the angles from which the questions come would be within our comfort zone. Is the president prepared to take all questions today? I'm not sure there is any press conference ever since the creation of the earth that we can take all questions, because if there are 200 people here and everybody wants to ask a question, do we have enough time to sit here from morning till 6 p.m.? We don't have that time. So he will take as many questions as we can take. How many? Do you have an idea? We don't have, we can't put a number to it, quite frankly. We only hope that this press conference and everything will last about 1 hour, 30 minutes. After that, he has to go and conduct other state business. So if we can squeeze the 100 questions in that 1 hour, we'll squeeze 100 questions. If we can squeeze 5 million questions, we'll squeeze it. Okay. But so it just depends on how short people keep their questions and how short. We have encouraged him to keep his answers as short as possible so we can take many questions. Last year, some people raised issues about the fact that Radio Gold was not invited to meet the president. Are we seeing a change in that today? Well, we said that they were invited, just that they claim that the point they were invited late in their view, and that's why they didn't take it. So let it be on record that they were invited. So been invited this time? Today, oh yes, we've encouraged them to bring Muntie and all the networks. If they want, for them, all their journalists want to come, they should come. And we should expect them to be given the chance to also ask their questions. If they have questions, I'm not sure it is fair for me to impose, because you are Radio Gold, my friend, you have to ask their questions. I can't do that. That's not right. Yeah, I don't even know them. I just hope that they are here. I don't know many people, so I'm just going to be, pointing to people as they raise their hands. So it's not as if I've come here with the mindset that certain people must ask questions. That would be wrong. I can't do that. Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you. So we'll come back to Honorable Minister after the President's
delivery, which will be followed by the questions by the media, men and women who have gathered here at the Flagstaff House. We would still try and engage some of the ministers who have also gathered here in their numbers and get their own expectations ahead of the president coming in and having the media here at the Flagstaff House. So we are still live here from the Flagstaff House, and any moment from now we expect the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to move in here and start the encounter with the media. And for now, we would hand over to my colleague Elton John Brobe, who is on the other side.
Thank you, Latif. We'll go back to Elton later, but welcome back to our studio's digital address, GA0993341. I'm Bernice Abubedu. Time now to take your comments, and the question is, what would you want President Akufo-Addo to talk about today? What are those questions that you want your representatives, let's ask the media, to ask President Akufo-Addo? And quickly, we'll pick Mohammed Bipua's comment. He says, I have no question but to commend him for the good works he's doing. Indeed, he's the president we've been looking for, a true workaholic. God bless him. 11 reactions there. There's a like, there's some loves, and also a sad face. But let's pick the 17 replies. Tells you people are interested in what this gentleman just said. Regina Kwanzaa seems to be quite happy with that. Citizen Ati says, well, need I say more? Real Ghanaians have fought the fight here already. People like you are the reason why our country is not seeing any progress. You wouldn't speak the truth even when you clearly can see and feel the pressure even in your stomach, okay? It seems to me he doesn't agree so much with that comment. Greenwood Kweku says, I know he's done well, but don't let him be complacent about it. Get him a question, and he laughs at his own comment. And Floyd says, what? Stop there, bro. No wonder you're describing him with a small letter P. But Francis Adi says, I guess it would be imperative that those selected media persons invited ask very relevant and salient questions instead of the many sycophantic and unnecessary charades that seem to be coming a stock in trade of some pro-government media houses. So all Francis wants is, please get us some good questions there for President Akufo-Addo. Chris Addy says, I'll ask him why he's decided to be a prosecutor and a judge in his own court, covering up corrupt activities in his government. Interesting. Mahami Adams is asking, how? Do you have any evidence to back this allegation? Chris Addy says, please don't ask me such questions again. Do you hear me? And Emmanuel Washington says, you see your hypocrisy, you're just ignorant. You're asking someone not to ask such questions again. But you want to ask someone a question. Yeah, I mean, it's only fair that if you want the president to answer your question, you should also answer someone else's question, Chris. And Chris is back to say he shouldn't reply in such a manner again. But Raindorf says, I don't have any question for him. Everything will be clear at the end of his first term. I just want to remind Bawumia that it's like the IGP couldn't take good care of the dollar cell keys. Dr. Bawumia, handed over to him. The dollar is proving stubborn. And I want him to also talk to Dr. Bawumia to slow down the talks. He's about to hit 100% score in talks. Actions, they say, speak louder than words. So Raindorf decides to give a bit of a caution rather than ask a question. Gladstone says, we have the best minds in the universe to put to work with our overwhelming wealth and resources and start manufacturing and the next generation of exotic and supersonic jets and bodies in Ghana while getting ready to land the first Ghanaian female astronaut in space. I'm not sure that's a question, is it, Gladstone? But Jedu George says, what is the government doing about the unemployment in Ghana, particularly why do nurses have to stay in the house close to almost 2 years before they get jobs? We sure will get the president to answer. Hopefully, you know, sometimes there's a bit of pressure and the limit to questions a journalist can ask, but hopefully your questions will be answered. Kwesi Opoku says, our incorruptible president, Nana Addo Dankwa, what measures are you putting in place for landlords and tenants to follow? Because 1 year, 2 year, etc. advance payment is too much. It should be 3 months or 6 months. So we all know, I'm sure, what the law says. And that's Kwesi Opoku's concern. A very, good one that a lot of people may share, especially if you don't have your own house and you have to rent. And Citizen Ati says, what is his plan for agriculture? What steps is he taking to ensure that each Ghanaian can be able to eat 3 square meals a day and be healthy, so our women will stop starving all in the name of keeping sheep? Interesting. And our men pretending not to have appetite for food when they are rather dying of hunger. Well, just call me. King James says, my question is why our security personnel are dying in his regime. And people are fighting, and armed robbers have taken over the country. Taking over? Well, I don't know what's making you say that. But J.C. Delado says the vice president was quoted to have said that the government has released funds for the payment of teachers' salary arrears and transfer grants. But as we speak, January, SPV has nothing to reflect the said payment to any teacher. Must we always look to the sky to check the position of the sun anytime? Baumia agrees before we respond. Trying to quote someone there. And a champion says they should ask him relevant questions, not, Nana, your dress is nice. And what did you eat this morning? Not sure anybody's going to ask that. Your shoe is beautiful. There's too much lawlessness in the country. The increments of fuel day and nights. Ghanaians deserve better than this. I'm not aware, government. And talking about fuel, we just heard in the news today that there will be some 3 to 5% increase in fuel. But a lot of people say that they've already, felt the increase at the pumps. And Albert also talks about it. Fuel price today, 4.630 per litre, meeting journalists for netting. Okay, still, I don't want to repeat that word. Donald Trump is alleged to have said. Some John Pino says he should answer about his invisible and Delta forces, one village, one dam in the northern region, cash for seed saga. But we'll congratulate for free SHS. Low energy. I'm not sure. I'm sure you're trying to say no doomso or something to that effect. Tariff, etc. And Nana Amarko says, in the midst of graduate unemployment, why should some departments and ministries give contracts to retired officers? And there are 3 replies to that. We'll see that quickly. Nana Amarko says, good question, but I think unemployed people don't have the capital to initiate, let alone raise money to start or to fund those contracts, given everything in the world now involves money. And lovely Makento says, it's true, dear. Nana Marco says, Nanaya, not contract as in being given contracts to do construction works, but they are retired as civil or public servants, yet they're given contract extension to work and take salaries for quite a bit of a hyperbole, exaggeration, for about half a decade. Ask yourself. And, well, he seems to be concerned there. But we get what Nana Marco is trying to say, that if someone is retired, just let them go home so you can have some space for new entrants. Nana Kwei Mensa Botre says, when is he paying trainee nurses allowance? Why is it that qualified professional nurses are still in the house? They haven't been posted since 2016. The second time someone is raising this issue and asking if that's what the president promised, and says it's quite annoying. Jose Emmanuel says, can he convince us beyond doubt that his government's quest in fighting corruption is going to be entirely different? Appointment of the special prosecutor is not enough. And, well, you should expect quite a number of questions on the special prosecutor, because after the president announced that Mr. Martin Amidu was the nominee, and we haven't had the opportunity to question the president himself. So as, he's opened his gates to media people, you should expect quite a number of questions on that one. Nana Jan Nicola says, I want him to scrap some of the new ministries created. Hardly see their relevance. Again, when will he do a ministerial reshuffle? I may be lucky too, and he laughs at his own comment. And yeah, that one, I remember over the weekend news file, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide, Kweku Bako Jr., hinted there's a possible reshuffle. and also stated that some ministers are likely to be sacked. We don't know when the president will do this, and we don't know if he will comment about this, but we know that a question may come on that one. And Emmanuel Balang says, I will ask him 3 questions. 1, what was his administration's idea of extending the IMF deal after making noise when the Mahama-led administration extended it? Said still most of the youth are unemployed. That's the second. And they promised us jobs after they take over. Where are the jobs? His third question, when will university graduates who've gone through professional teacher training skills be posted to teach? Politely, he asks, good morning. Good morning, Emmanuel Balang. And Michael Kafui Nyamesekpo says, when is he going to pay me my salary arrears since 2013, as he promised in his campaign? And we voted massively because of those arrears. That's what the NDC failed to do, and they were shown the exit. So, Mr. President, we are fed up with the empty promises. But Michael, you didn't tell us who you are. Are you a teacher? Are you a nurse? What do you do? So we can just have a fair understanding of your concern. Walanyo Akwetia says, in fact, the people of Akwetia constituency did well for voting MPP to come to power, but it seems that the business of the people of Akwetia and its environs has been snatched from them. Now, my question to the president is, when are they going to start working with the genuine and legitimate papers? We are appealing to the president and the minister to honor their promise as they were told to begin work today. God bless NPP and our homeland, Ghana. Well, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of the businesses of the people of Akwetia and its environs being snatched from them. I can guess, is it something to do with illegal mining? Galamsey, you can come back and tell us exactly what you mean. Calvin Prince Tete says, my question to the president is the increment of fuel and reduction in electricity tariffs. He says, Robin Peter to PayPal. Good morning, His Excellency. Tel Sakite says the selection has been made already, and as usual, they selected from their party FM stations, so the question will never break the bank. Well, I know that all media houses were invited, so I don't know this about selecting pro-MPP media houses. Well, so on the 18th of July 2017, President Akufo-Addo met journalists and answered a couple of questions. Let's bring back some of those questions that were asked.
Mr. President, I remember during the campaign, yourself and the Vice President expressed worry about the level of debt that Ghana was incurring. And among other things, you said that because of the mismanagement, we were having to borrow, and then we had enough internal resources, and therefore we should block the loopholes. Permit me to give you some figures. In March this year, we went for a 1 billion Ghana cedi 3-year bond. In April, a $2.25 billion bond, which translates to 10.25 billion cedis, was announced. In the same month, we announced a $2.4 billion bond to clear legacy debts in the energy sector. Translates that to 12 billion cedis. Last week, we were told there's a 17.4 billion cedi bond being sought for Q3. Putting all the figures together in Ghana cedis, that's about 40 billion cedis if all these bonds go through by Q3. The last time I checked, our GDP was about 80 billion cedis. If within the first year, we're already borrowing up to half of our GDP, where are the internal resources? How much resources have we generated internally? Why are we still borrowing this much?
Mr. President, election after election, I witness desperate and frustrated people, our citizenry, who want to go and exercise their vote. Indeed, we have people that travel to their polling stations and their name